Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I'm a chiropractor. I'm a clinical nutritionist. I'm a kinesiologist. I'm the clinic director of the Natural Medicine Center in Houston, Texas. In clinical practice for 23 years with a patient base that ranges from people sent home to die to some of the most elite athletes in the history of the planet. I've also taught licensed renewal seminars to doctors all over the world for over 2 decades. So I've had a wonderful journey of sharing health.
Wow. And we met through my wife having been very unwell many years ago, and we became friends. That was, I think it was nearly 4 years ago. I don't remember, but it was some time ago. And we've been friends ever since. And I've been seeking your advice and your guidance. And I know there are lots and lots of people that will be listening to this that are going to take on board the 7.
7's a pretty magic number. There's 7 continents, there's 7 wonders of the world, there's 7 strategies for success and happiness, there's the 7 habits of highly effective people, and we've got the magnificent 7 health strategies, which include eat right, drink right, think right, move right, sleep right, poop right, talk right every single day.
So with My365, we have this journal which allows people to really focus on working on themselves for 365 days, because that's something which most people have never done. Most people have never made themselves a project and looked to really improve themselves from the inside out. And that's what we're looking to do. It's a game changer for lots of people. Let's look at these 7 and why if people get those right, do you think they're going to have a better quality of life?
Well, it's just a little more expansive than some people listing 3 or 5, and I think it makes it most complete. But literally, if you start with eating right, you are what you eat. And so we recognize that the number 1 cause of death, not just disability, but death on planet Earth, is malnutrition. Even in developed countries, we have 7 billion people on the planet now, and we've been mass farming the soil and sadly depleting our natural resources to the point where food doesn't have in it what it once did. And so we need to not only eat really super clean foods, but we have to supplement as well if we want to get the most out of life. When you start talking about drinking right, we're not just talking about the physical aspect of it, but actually what you put in your body. We're a phenomenal amount of our being is water. We're more than 2/3 water. Turns out that lean tissue is 73% water. Brain is the most hydrated organ in your body, and if you don't have enough water, the brain is going to be one of the first things that suffer. So we want to put in clean water. We also know that coffees and teas have the medicinal benefit or plant benefit with profound nutrients that increase longevity. When you start talking about thinking right, certainly everything you do in your life depends on what you think and the choices you make. One of our favorite books collectively is Think and Grow Rich. It's one of the best books on the planet. Certainly it has created a lot of success out there, but literally the premise of the book is your thoughts precede your actions, precede your results. Change your thoughts to a better way, change your actions to better actions, and you get better results. When you move right, life is motion, literally at the molecular level. If you stop rotating the electron around the nucleus, guess what? Life stops at absolute zero. So we want to move our entire body right, and it's a phenomenal input to our brain and our circulation and everything else. Sleep right. This is something that the world suffers with. Prior to the advent of the electric bulb, it's estimated that people slept about 10 hours a night. We now know that the world sleeps an average of about 6.75 hours, and for most people that's just plain not enough. In fact, it's a very small percentage where it would be. And I tell my patients, if you're not running on rest and recovery, you're running on stress hormones, and those simply rob from your health. Poop right is something that people think, okay, I don't really want to talk about that, but really we're talking about the entire aspect of elimination, of detoxification. And our bodies create waste products. Our cells create waste products. The most basic waste product is actually carbon dioxide. And if you stopped exhaling, you're going to be dead in a matter of minutes. So we've got to always eliminate right or poop right. And then finally, there's talk right. And that's the fact that all of our cells actually communicate with one another. You and I are sitting across from a microphone and we have a comfortable distance from one another. And every one of us has a comfortable space that we're with. Our cells have the same thing. And one of the first things that cancer does is it stops respecting its neighbor's boundaries and it invades their space. And that's an analogy of humans, too. If humans invade your space, you get very uncomfortable and you want them out of there, or they just simply push you out. And that's actually what cancer does. It steals the nutrients, it crowds the space, and it intoxicates the entire body. And we don't ever want that. So we want good cell-to-cell communication, as well as good communication with the world around us. All relationships require excellent communication.
Wow. So what we've created is it's a sphere, a circle, like a diagram that you can look at all of these different 7 areas and you can focus on a day-to-day basis to see how well you're doing. 1, we wouldn't be doing very well at all, or 0, you're not doing very well. 5 is the best, and it's going to give everyone an opportunity to really just see really clearly where they are with their health. So let's just go into a little bit more detail with some of those. So the first one you mentioned was about eat right. So what advice would you give to someone around eating right?
Well, really, everything that you put in your body counts. You know, there's a quote from Og Mandino that I like, and it's about love. He says, "And most of all, I will love myself, for when I do, I will zealously inspect all things that I allow to enter my mind, my heart, my soul, and my body." So whatever you're consuming, it should be a clean food. It should not be genetically modified. It shouldn't be intoxicated with herbicides, insecticides, fungicides, and hopefully it's been grown in nutrient-rich soil.
But let's just start off with plants. I mean, plants really should be the mainstay of our diet, right?
Oh, absolutely. They probably always have been. You know, some people that are studying paleo think that animal was, and one of my great students said, I don't think plants run very fast. There's a book called The Blue Zones, and there are areas of the world where people consistently live to over 100 with vibrant health. And they all have a plant-based, not exclusive plant, but plant-based diet. So we should eat more plants, no doubt about that.
And they should be organic.
Of course. Yeah, you want to be super clean. We've gotten to this idea that we can genetically modify plants to get higher yield and make them more resistant to insecticides. But animal feeding studies show that this is not a healthier choice by any means. In fact, it's a much worse choice.
And as far as vegetables, what are the best vegetables? Green?
Well, we have a rule in nutrition. It's the same as the rule in finance. Green is good and you can't get too much. But reality is, every color, every day. You want to consume the whole rainbow because different color, different nutrient density, different molecules that move our body in a better direction.
Excellent. So what about meat?
Well, it has to be clean. You want a healthy animal grown in a natural environment, and I would say even the end of their life should be very, very humane. There's people that switch to vegetarianism because they see what goes on with mass farming efforts.
Yeah, so what about drink right when it comes to water? What about people that drink, alcohol or too many teas and coffees and...
Coffee and tea, especially the coffee and tea that we recommend, which is actually alkaline and very nutrient dense, infused with the number 1 superfood, it's kind of hard to get too much of that. But if you were drinking, for instance, a regular coffee, which is very acid and has more caffeine, there's a point where that can cause you a problem. So we want to get plenty of good water. We want to get healthy coffees and teas. And those are great ways to hydrate ourselves. And again, our body is mostly water. Our world is mostly water. So we should put good, clean sources of water, which, by the way, would include those infused with healthy coffees, healthy teas.
Because those contain Ganoderma lucidum. Just tell us briefly about that. It's a superfood, right?
Yeah, and most references consider it the number 1 superfood on the planet. So it's got incredible nutrient density. It's been called really the closest thing to nutrition perfection. When you start looking at vitamins and minerals, for instance, it's well known it's got significantly more magnesium than broccoli, more iron than spinach, more antioxidants than bilberry, more omega-3 than tuna, more calcium than milk, more vitamin C than orange, more protein than beans. And those are just the vitamins and minerals and macronutrients. But there's also plant-based molecules in there, signaling molecules that control the inflammatory process, that increase oxygen delivery, that increase energy efficiency, that actually drive the immune system in a way which normalizes it to kill bad cells and protect normal cells. It is the king of herbs, the number 1 superfood, and there's over 2,000 peer-reviewed medical studies on that plant. They're studying it for great reason. It is one of those things that can create tremendous health and benefit for our human population.
So we've done eat, we've done drink. What's next?
Think.
Let's talk about thinking, right? So what's your take on having better thoughts and thinking better?
Well, some people like to say that happiness is an inside job and you want to have an attitude of gratitude. And it's been said that the ultimate currency of life is happiness. Every single person wants to be happy. But yet the best way to be happy is to give happy. And so you want to actually take good care of your body. The body and brain work together. Years ago, they used to talk about the mind-body connection. There's no separation of the two. There's a field called psychoneuroimmunology. Every single thought you think affects your brain and your immune system. And we know that happy thoughts are actually nourishing to the immune system and the body. And certainly thoughts are going to determine the choices you make. You and I are having a conversation. We're sitting up straight. We're not slumped over a solid posture actually enhances your brain and body chemistry. So it has to be an understanding that literally every moment we have a choice. And if we're more conscious about that and we take on good habits, which, by the way, is a choice again, then we can create a better existence for ourselves. It all boils down to the thoughts that we think.
Well, having been involved in psychology for years, I think it's very easy for people to think negative thoughts. I think we live in a society that kind of reinforces that. I even maybe think it's within our genes that we need to be on our guard a lot, that maybe because of thousands of years ago we were small and everything around us was big. But regardless of whether that's true, we still have a choice, right?
We always have a choice.
So we have to be very careful about what we feed our brains. How do you feed your brain positivity? What do you do?
I control what I put into it. I've had a lot of great mentors that said you just simply need to get rid of news. You need to get rid of radio. My patients call the news the bad news, and they the headlines are always who's being killed and what's the fire and who's being shot and where there's a terrorist action. And you would think that exists absolutely everywhere. And yet I've been traveling around the world and I've met wonderful, incredible, happy, nourishing people that want to make this world better. We got 7 billion people on the planet. If we all did that kind of thing, we certainly wouldn't exist. There's always going to be evil, and it's a minority, and of course we need to stand against it, but we don't need to fill our brains with catastrophe every moment of every day, and that's what news mostly seems to do.
Yeah, I think, again, it needs to become a habit, right? That's what the Magnificent Seven are around, focusing on them and getting them right till they become a habit. That's just what it is that you do. And that's the essence of what My 365 is about, giving people daily coaching, helping people to focus on what is right for them, so they feel good more of the time. So we've looked at eat right, we've looked at drink right, we've looked at think right. What's next? Move. Let's talk about movement.
Yeah, well, certainly life is motion, and you look at it, and the Journal of the American Medical Association has published the actual causes of death. And, in 1990 and 2000, it was actually cigarette smoking that killed the most people. Now it's malnutrition, but right in that top list is actually lack of physical activity. So there's a researcher out of Yale. His name is Kelly Brownell, and he says basically activity has been engineered out of daily life. We have a remote for the TV. We have a remote for the garage door. We can send out for things. Rather than going shopping, Amazon or Alibaba will deliver it to our door. And we were meant to move. Life is motion. People that move better live better. They nourish their body and their brain. It enhances circulation. It enhances elimination. Without motion, life is over. So we want to move, and we want to move in a meaningful way. I like to say every joint, every range of motion, pain-free every day, is one of those things that'll keep us moving better, longer, and create a better life for us.
Yeah, it's something I've been looking at a lot recently around inspiration. And I heard this quote, inspiration is for amateurs. You don't want to wait to be inspired. You've got to start going to start feeling inspired. And one of the techniques we talk to people about who want to move is just get started. Just start moving, and then you start secreting the endorphins, the serotonin, the dopamine, and then you'll start feeling inspired rather than just waiting to feel good, because you're not hiding. You're going to go nowhere, right?
Well, you and I have been in a great habit of moving every single day, and I can tell you, there's been days that I didn't feel like training. And those are the days that at the end, I usually feel way better and way more accomplished. Once you get that first step in, that first rep in, that first exercise in, whatever it is that you're doing, it builds on itself in a positive way. And when it's done, you feel so much better than when you start, and you go, well, why did I even, hesitate to start this? And then you get to the point where you don't hesitate. You just know by the end, you're going to be a better person for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it just needs to become a habit. So we've done eat, we've done move, we've done drink, we've done think. What about talk? Talk right.
Yeah, it's critical. We're a network of 100 trillion cells, and every one of these cells talks with itself, talks with a neighbor, and there's certain broadcast messages like hormones that go out throughout the entire body. We literally know that every good relationship requires really good communication. As long as we keep our cells communicating, then they're going to be healthy. Cancer, one of the hallmarks of it is it does not respect its neighbors. It doesn't communicate. It crowds their space. It steals their food, and then it intoxicates the environment. And it can literally kill the entire organism. But guess what? If the immune system is properly surveying and paying attention and receiving those messages, it goes and takes care of it. And literally, if you live a healthy lifestyle, eat right, drink right, think right, move right, sleep right, poop right, talk right, that's a formula for health and longevity, including keeping cancer at bay. So
we're talking about how our cells in our body talk to each other. Because when I first heard you say this, I thought you meant about how we talk through speaking. But that's also really important.
Yeah,
right?
that absolutely counts too, because we have a relationship with ourselves. We have a conversation that goes on in our head. We have a conversation with those around us, and we certainly have a conversation with our world.
Let's talk about sleep.
Yeah, one of those critical topics. Prior to the advent of the electric bulb, it was suggested that people slept 10 hours a night. Typical person about 6.75 hours a night. Your brain and body need that rest. It detoxifies. That's the time of anti-inflammatory. Sleep is actually the incubation time for the subconscious. So go to bed with an attitude of gratitude, focus on your goals, and you may wake up, as probably everybody's had the experience. Let me sleep on it, and you come up with a solution that makes your life better that day. But your brain and body need that time, and it's suggested that the average person needs about 8 hours a night. The Swedish researcher Ericsson talked about the 10,000-hour rule. And I listened to a summary of his research, and they said they should have renamed it the 10,000 8-hour and 36-minute rule, because these super high achievers, the best of the best in any field, slept an average of 8 hours and 36 minutes a night. For me, that's an excellent window to get in. I love to get 8 hours and 36 minutes.
Yeah, wow. So we should all prepare ourselves for sleep as well, right? What you do like a half an hour before you go to bed is pivotal, right?
Yeah, that wouldn't be the time to watch a scary movie or a sporting event that gets your adrenaline pumping, or even a super hard workout. I like to wind down. I like the idea of an electronic sunset. No computers, no TV. Read a book, relax, connect with your loved ones, connect with yourself, connect with your creator. Have some nice meditation, go to sleep, have that attitude of gratitude, nourish your brain and body throughout your sleep, and wake up ready to face the day.
Poop.
Oh, we got poop right. Yeah,
Let's
poo
talk
right,
about
like
poo, because you say poop, we say poo. But anyway.
Well, you've got to eliminate. One of my great teachers once said, "You are what you eat." That's not really true. You are what you absorb. But that's more true. You are what you don't eliminate. And there's a lot of people that don't eliminate well. And the basic element of elimination, we just don't have the bowel. We've got the skin, we've got the lungs, we've got the kidneys. All those eliminate. And the most basic elimination is exhaling, blowing off carbon dioxide. So we've got to constantly eliminate, because all of our cells have waste product. And as we structure the way that we control our body and direct our body to eliminate, the better off we are. The symptoms of chronic poisoning, as published in the medical literature, are this: fatigue, sleep disturbance, intestinal distress, allergy symptoms, headaches, confusion, and anxiety. And I've said now for over 2 decades that if you got rid of those symptoms, I'd probably have to do something else in clinical practice, because literally that's what everybody's walking into my door struggling with.
So finally, let's just talk about stress and the impact that has. Because from my experience, my own personal experience, and from working with people from all different walks of life, that's probably the thing that affects everything.
Yeah, well, it certainly is. But understand that we put most of those stressors on ourselves. You and I are sitting here in this beautiful room in this beautiful free country, enjoying more opportunity, more luxury than ever before in the history of man. And we should be profoundly thankful. But yet we'll put pressures on ourselves. We need to succeed. We need to do this. We need to get better, stronger, faster, smarter every day. And I love the goal to do that. I love improving. But one of the things we need to understand is it's a process. And if you enjoy the journey, it's all better. Stress takes away joy. When they inject animals with stress hormones, they exhibit depressive symptoms. I'll give a quote from the literature. There's universal agreement that 50 to 75% of all depression is stress-induced. Stress breaks down your brain and body, but the greatest stress researcher of all time, Hans Selye, said it's a choice. It's a matter of attitude. And he had interviewed 2 brothers who grew up in an alcoholic house with an abusive father. And one of the brothers was a miserable alcoholic that couldn't get control of his life. And Selye asked him, he says, "Why in the world? How did you turn out like that?" He says, "Well, with a dad like mine, how would you expect me to turn out?" Yet the brother was an incredible success, had a great business, had a great family, a loving wife, beautiful children, and a great existence. Selye asked him, "How did you turn out like this?" He says, "Look, with a father like mine, how would you expect me to turn out? I'm not going to make those same mistakes."
Yeah.
So life is a choice, which is how we started. The choice of My 365 is absolutely one of the best choices that any human can make, and they should share that gift with the world, because I know your mission is to impact millions in a positive way. And I don't know that I personally know anybody that really has your commitment to doing that. So I appreciate you and honor you for all that you do to make our world better.
Those of you, you can draw out your own little circle if you like, and put it into 7 little categories like a cake. and you can maybe make 5 circles within that circle, and 0 being right in the middle, all the way out to 5, and score yourself every single day on the Magnificent 7 and look to work on yourself. Or you can get the My 365 journal. Dr. Bob, thank you very much.
It's my honor. Thank you.